Camilla's 78th birthday should have been a golden moment. But instead of the spotlight shining on her, global media was magnetically pulled into a storm named Harry and Meghan. Yes, right when the British royal family was preparing to celebrate the woman once dubbed the other woman, now firmly seated as queen consort, a shocking move from across the Atlantic seemed to freeze Buckingham Palace in its tracks. The press dubbed it the most blatant stage-stealing act since that bombshell interview with Oprah, a relentless PR campaign, accidentally leaked photos, cryptic, suggestive messages all uncannily timed to coincide with the Camilla's birthday. Was it merely coincidence or a cold, calculated operation, timed down to the broadcast hour inside the royal household? The air is thick with suspicion. As King Charles fights to regain public favor after a long trail of scandals, as Prince William and Princess Catherine strain under the weight of preserving royal dignity, Harry and Meghan, the couple who left the palace vowing to give up all privileges, suddenly re-emerge as the center of attention on the very day meant for Camilla. And what's more concerning is that this move came not long after the couple publicly promised to work toward reconciliation with the royal family. Was it all just lip service, or are they playing a meticulous media chess game, where every move is designed to manipulate the public and dominate headlines? This is no longer a story of a birthday party overshadowed. It's a symbol of the quiet war between loyalty and rebellion, between tradition and digital theatrics. And above all, it raises a chilling question if even the birthday of a queen can be weaponized into a political and media stunt. What awaits the future of the United Kingdom? Do you believe Harry and Meghan intentionally manipulated the media to overshadow Camilla's special day? Has this act destroyed any remaining chance of reconciliation with the royal family? Leave a comment with one if you believe this was a deliberate stunt, or if you think it was all an unfortunate coincidence. The royal family feud has never ceased to keep the world holding its breath. And this time, perhaps the one most deeply wounded is the very woman who seemed to have finally claimed the highest seat, Camilla. And just as the echoes of behind-the-curtain meetings inside the palace had yet to fade, another shockwave hit Britain. The pact had been broken. After weeks of tense negotiations between Harry and Meghan's team and royal representatives, it seemed the tensions had temporarily subsided. Both sides had reached an unofficial yet weighty agreement: no leaking internal matters, no direct attacks on the royal family in the media, and most importantly, no more invoking the name of Princess Diana to fuel any campaign. But then, as if waiting for the perfect excuse, the perfect moment to break free from those soft constraints, Harry made his move. At that very time, Buckingham Palace was preparing to unveil a meticulously planned event weeks in the making: the official portrait celebrating Queen Camilla's 78th birthday. The setting wasn't a palace or royal chamber. It was taken at her private residence in Wiltshire, designed to convey warmth and intimacy, an attempt to soften Camilla's previously rigid image in the eyes of the public. The portrait carried strong symbolism: Camilla in a light beige sweater, standing before a large sunlit window, with a rose garden behind her, rumored to be personally tended by her. A carefully crafted image to spark empathy and reinforce the portrait of a compassionate queen during a time when the king is in ill health. The royal media machine had everything lined up: front pages, television time slots, even coordinated hashtags for social media. The mission was clear: bring Camilla back to the spotlight with a positive image, washing away years of controversy, especially rumors of tensions between her and the king's children from his previous marriage. But that plan was ruthlessly and strategically derailed. On that same day, almost at the exact hour Camilla's portrait was unveiled, Harry released a series of never-before-seen images. He appeared in Angola, walking across a cleared minefield, precisely reenacting the legendary scene his mother, Princess Diana, had done in 1997. The outfit was identical, his gaze fixed downward, the bright red mine warning sign ahead. And above all, the message behind it was crystal clear: Diana remains the only woman worthy of capturing the hearts of the British public, not Camilla. Social media exploded. The international press instantly shifted focus. From Camilla turns 78 to Harry recreates Diana's image. Every headline, every front page, every TV analysis tilted toward the former prince. The memory of Princess Diana surged fiercely in the hearts of the people, while Camilla, no matter how hard she had tried, was once again pushed out of the spotlight, as if she had never even existed in the media plan that day. No one remembered the portrait from Wiltshire anymore. All they could see was Angola, Diana, and Harry, the loyal and fearless son who dared to confront the monarchy to uphold the spirit of his late mother. And this was no longer a coincidence. According to media experts, Harry's schedule in Angola had been kept entirely secret. No source had leaked it beforehand. That meant Harry had deliberately chosen the exact date of Camilla's portrait release to unveil these symbolic images. A direct blow to the palace's PR campaign. An unspoken message: he had broken the agreement. He had struck back. Several sources close to the palace revealed that Camilla was furious when she saw the series of photos from Angola, especially when the media unanimously sidelined her to make room for Diana's image. Resurrected through her son, to Camilla, this wasn't just an insult, it was a cruel reminder that she was still the replacement and would never be fully embraced by the British public as a true royal icon. In the corridors of the palace, whispers spread that Charles had fallen into deep disappointment. He had hoped to mediate a reconciliation between the parties, believing that the unwritten agreements would be honored, especially during this period when his health was deteriorating. But now, everything seemed to collapse. An anonymous royal advisor said if this is how Harry chooses to make his point, then the war between both sides will never end. Things are only quiet for now, but they've never truly ended. And Camilla, the woman who once confidently stepped into the crown with Charles's love and careful media strategy, is now once again overshadowed by the image of a woman long gone. The more she tries to rise, the clearer and more painful Diana's legacy becomes overwhelming and undeniable. What happened that day wasn't just a clash of portraits. It was a showdown between two worlds on one side, the royal image Camilla has tried to construct. On the other, the immortal legacy of a princess who was betrayed, yet forever remains an irreplaceable symbol in the heart of the British people. That suspicious coincidence didn't remain silent for long. As Camilla's official portrait was rolled out across media platforms with her, in a jade green dress and a calm smile in the drawing room of the Wiltshire estate, it should have graced the front pages of every major newspaper. But instead, the image of Harry walking through the Angola minefield, an unmistakable echo of Princess Diana, dominated the entire British media landscape. And this was no longer a beautiful coincidence, it was a strike at the royal family's credibility, shaking Buckingham Palace behind the scenes with a silent but fierce wave of outrage. The Daily Telegraph, Daily Mail, the Times newspapers traditionally loyal to the palace were immediately swept into the whirlwind of internal criticism. Some sources revealed that a royal spokesperson directly contacted editorial boards, expressing deep disappointment that Harry's Angola photos had taken the front page spotlight on Queen Camilla's birthday. Within the red-carpeted rooms of Buckingham, a chilling silence fell, as media advisors collectively realized one undeniable truth: Camilla had been overshadowed deliberately and coldly. The burning question was immediately raised in closed-door meetings. Did Harry do it on purpose? Was the Angola trip truly a purely humanitarian act, or merely a cleverly orchestrated stunt to deal a fatal blow to Camilla's image? If the latter is true, then this is no longer a mild betrayal. This is a blatant violation of one of the most important commitments Harry and Meghan had made to the royal family after the post-Brexit reconciliation talks: no leaks, no attacks, no undermining the reputation of any royal member. And now, as Camilla's image was pushed off the front pages on a day when the entire media system was expected to honor her, Buckingham Palace understood that it had been forced into a defensive position. The palace's media advisors, those who once believed that the stormy post-Diana era was over now, once again had to face the silent fury of the public, those who had never forgotten the image of the compassionate princess walking through minefields, and now saw her son recreating that moment to step over the Queen's successor. A silent stab, but one that made them bleed. And just as feared, the storm did not stop at the Daily Telegraph and Daily Mail front pages being dominated by Harry's image. That was merely the opening act for a new wave of outrage this time, coming from the United States where Meghan Markle once again stirred explosive silence within the British royal family. As the clock struck midnight in London, officially marking Queen Camilla's birthday, Meghan chose that very sensitive moment to publish a post on her personal Instagram, opening with a congratulatory message to the ladies, a vague phrase that clearly served as a double entendre aimed at Camilla, accompanied by a photo of a sparkling bottle of as ever wine set against a clean white background. What's worth noting is that the post didn't stop at a message. It cleverly tagged the account of the wine brand Meghan is backing, and included a discount code for customers to use during the special day of inspiring women. Social media immediately erupted. Royal fans took just seconds to realize that the ladies Meghan referred to were none other than Camilla, who was turning 78 amid a somber atmosphere inside Buckingham Palace. The coincidence in timing, combined with using the Queen's birthday to promote a commercial product, turned what seemed like a sweet gesture into a direct blow to Camilla's image, a woman still struggling to regain public trust and hold her ground amid internal royal turmoil. Royal commentators did not stay silent. Lady Colin Campbell called Meghan's action a shameless manipulation of public sentiment. And while journalist Taz slammed the exploitation of royal blood ties to make money as a cheap, disrespectful, and offensive stunt, Meghan knows very well the media impact of a post at exactly midnight. Taz said on her podcast, she didn't just seize the moment, she calculated every second to ensure all public attention would be drawn toward her, while Camilla was pushed into the shadows. Worse still, this wasn't the first time the Sussexes had chosen to play games during the royal family's most vulnerable moments. And observers were quick to recall the 2010 incident when Prince Harry suddenly released a charity video while Prince William was attending a global climate change summit. And in 2010, Meghan launched her first podcast precisely as Clarence House was celebrating Prince Charles's 50th anniversary as Prince of Wales. These incidents, repeated over the years, form a strange recurring pattern that raises the question, was it accidental or deliberate? This latest birthday post only added fuel to the fire in the already fractured relationship between Harry, Meghan, and the Windsor family. Insiders remain silent, but sources close to the palace revealed that Camilla felt quietly but bitterly humiliated. One of her friends shared if Meghan genuinely wanted to send birthday wishes, she could have done so privately. But choosing this exact timing, combined with a product promotion, clearly wasn't unintentional. Meghan's actions, meticulously calculated and wildly viral, not only revealed her skill in media manipulation, but also placed the royal family in a position where they could not respond publicly without damaging their already fragile image. And that, perhaps, was the true objective all along. It didn't stop there. What truly fueled the growing wave of criticism was the timing of Meghan's post. A seemingly minor detail that ignited a storm of controversy. The post went live at 4 p.m. Pacific time, exactly midnight in London, the moment that officially marked Queen Camilla's birthday. While that should have been a time solely belonging to the woman now seated on the throne beside King Charles, it was Meghan's image and message that unexpectedly captured the full attention of international media. Many began to ask, was this just a random coincidence or a coldly calculated move? Numerous media experts and royal observers insist there's no such thing as accidental when it comes to someone like Meghan Markle, a woman who once managed her personal brand with remarkable sophistication during her Hollywood years. With a professional PR team and posting schedules coordinated by time zones, the precise selection of the moment between an ordinary day and Camilla's birthday could not be random. It was a message encoded in time, a silent declaration: I can still make the world talk about me, even during the moment of the most powerful woman in Britain. This raises a major question, not just within the royal fan base, but across the global media. Was Meghan truly innocent, or did she deliberately manipulate the timing to turn Camilla's birthday into a stage for the as-ever wine brand, What seemed like a celebratory post ended up casting a shadow of suspicion and controversy over Camilla's birthday atmosphere. The compliments for the inspiring ladies in the caption were quickly viewed as hollow and insincere because, clearly, the focus wasn't on the greeting, but on the product Meghan was trying to promote. The perfectly timed release, paired with its controversial content, forced many to re-examine Meghan's true motives. Was this a subtle act of revenge for the years of being shunned by the royal family? Or was it simply the unyielding ambition of a woman who never stopped wanting to be the center of attention? Whatever the reason, the way Meghan entered Camilla's birthday moment wasn't with a quiet well-wish, but with the deafening blast of her personal brand, something that stirred outrage rather than emotion for many observers. And just as the public was still reeling from Meghan's golden hour post timed precisely for midnight in London, nearly eclipsing Camilla's event, the rage within the British royal family officially boiled over. Royal aides, who had worked tirelessly to prepare for Queen Camilla's symbolic birthday celebration, were said to have been livid upon realizing that Harry and Meghan's actions were far from accidental, but deliberately disruptive. A senior aide was quoted in an emergency communications meeting at Clarence House as exclaiming, "This is no longer a coincidence. They know exactly what they're doing. They've shot straight at the heart of the monarchy." While senior advisors at the palace attempted to stay composed in front of the press, behind the scenes was a storm of serious accusation. Many believe the Sussexes had gravely violated the reconciliation pact supposedly reached after Harry's brief return to the UK earlier this year. The palace had hoped to maintain a ceasefire in order to prevent further tensions at a time when the king is undergoing cancer treatment. Catherine has just endured chemotherapy, and the royal image needs stability now more than ever. But with just one strategically timed post, the Sussexes had dealt a fatal blow to that entire effort. The storm quickly spread across media fronts. Right-leaning British tabloids such as the Daily Mail, the Telegraph, and Express launched immediate counter-campaigns. They branded Harry and Meghan's move as a birthday backstab and condemned the couple for manipulating the media to steal the spotlight on a day meant for Camilla. Royal-aligned columnists emphasized that Harry's trip to Angola was merely a pretext to polish his image, and that he was using the ghost of Princess Diana to tarnish the current monarchy, particularly Camilla, who was once blamed for Diana's heartbreak. A blatant insult to the memory of the very royal family they once belonged to. One senior editor commented on BBC, but not everyone agreed. Some left-leaning outlets like The Guardian and The Independent argued that Harry's actions reflected a continuation of Diana's humanitarian legacy, and that his presence in a mine-ridden region of Africa was an act of courage. They posed the question, why must a good deed be framed as a slap in the face to the royal family? Could it be that Camilla is using the media to cast Harry as a permanent enemy? Amid the wave of controversy, public reaction became increasingly divided. Some British citizens, especially those who had once sympathized with Diana, expressed support for Harry, saying he had dared to do the right thing even when knowing he would face criticism. Images of Harry bowing to listen to landmine victims, holding hands with Angolan children in nearly 40 degrees heat, moved many people deeply. But on the other hand, many believe that Harry was deliberately sabotaging out of lingering resentment toward his family. On forums like Mumsnet and Reddit UK, users did not hesitate to comment, "Harry knows full well when Camilla's birthday is. If he had no agenda, why not wait one more day to post?" Or, "This is nothing more than a calculated act of revenge." Meghan always has a strategy. And this time, they didn't hesitate to target even her sick, elderly father-in-law. And just like that, in less than 24 hours, a seemingly harmless post ignited a new public battle between the Sussexes and the British royal family. But is this merely a test of public reaction, or the beginning of another uncompromising confrontation? The fire was further stoked when a Daily Mail article suddenly went viral at lightning speed. In it, an anonymous source claimed that Prince Harry wants to reconcile with his family in the UK, but is now standing at a cruel crossroads: either continue his bond with Meghan Markle and accept living on the margins of the royal family forever, or consider separating from her to open the door to reintegration. While there has been no official statement from Harry or his sister office, the article triggered a storm of commentary on social media and across UK television talk shows. The question now being asked is not only for Harry, but for the public. 2. Is Britain ready to forgive the son, once dubbed the rebellious Duke, if he severs ties with the scandal-plagued Meghan? Or have the events that unfolded from the explosive interview with Oprah Winfrey to the expose documentaries, to the memoirs that humiliated King Charles and Prince William, damaged his image beyond repair? Some analysts argue that if Harry truly seeks reconciliation, it will come at a very high price, not only emotional distance from his wife and children, but also the immense task of rebuilding public trust and repairing bonds with the royal family, which have been seriously eroded over the years. However, other opinions suggest that Harry, through his bravery in confronting the past and standing for what's right, deserves a path back. Thus, the story is no longer just about Meghan or Camilla or any individual figure. It has become a battle to redefine honor, trust, and forgiveness in the eyes of the public, with Harry at the center of the storm. As the uneasy question, can the public forgive Harry if he leaves Meghan, still lingers in the air, British media quickly shifted focus to a seemingly unrelated figure, Camilla. Right on her 77th birthday, a day that should have been filled with congratulations and tributes for the reigning queen, the drama arrived from within, from King Charles's own son, Prince Harry. And so, instead of the spotlight shining on Camilla, the event was entirely overshadowed by speculation over whether Harry might turn back and reconcile with the royal family, a move that could upend the palace's emotional and power dynamics. For Camilla, this was not merely a coincidence. It was a slap to her pride, a bitter eclipse. She had never fully won the public's favor, long viewed as the third party who broke Diana's family. And now, on her own symbolic birthday, she once again had to step aside, this time for speculation about her husband's son, who has always sided with the late wife Camilla once competed with. In high-level internal meetings at Clarence House and Buckingham Palace, whispers circulated that Camilla was angrier than ever, not because Harry might return, but because it meant she would once again be compared to Diana and always come out the loser. The pressure suddenly weighed heavily on King Charles III. He not only had to appease his wife, but also consider the legacy he would leave for the throne. If Harry were to return, the public would demand a true reconciliation, a united family portrait reminiscent of the time when Diana was still alive. But that would mean Camilla would once again have to play the role of the interloper in a story she had long wished to bury. Though King Charles has always shown public support for Camilla, deep down, the tug-of-war between his duty as a father and his duty as a husband is tearing him apart day by day. Amid the media storm, people have almost forgotten the original reason for Harry's latest trip, raising awareness about the danger of landmines in Angola, a deeply humanitarian campaign continuing the legacy of Princess Diana. Images of Harry walking through minefields, hugging children who had lost limbs, should have been the focal point, reminding the world of the horrors of war and the compassion that needs to be amplified. But no, all of it was overshadowed by a cloud of suspicion. Was Harry doing this from the heart? Or was it just a PR stunt to win back favor from the royal family and the public? That very obscuring is what sparked deeper public doubt, that the Harry-Meghan couple once had every opportunity to become the new humanitarian icons of the 21st century. People once hoped that after leaving the royal family, they would free themselves from formal constraints to focus on real issues: climate change, children's rights, mental health, and the devastating remnants like landmines in Angola. But then what happened? The bombshell interviews, the controversial documentaries, the multi-million-dollar TV and podcast deals made their image no longer resemble an inspiring couple. They became a commercial product. And the greatest loss was not just public trust, but the sacred bond tying them to Diana's legacy. And while Camilla seethed at being overshadowed, Harry still stands at a crossroads: continue down the Hollywood path with Meghan, or return to his family and heal the fractures. Whatever he chooses, one thing is clear. Each step he takes not only stirs the palace, but also strips away the layers of pretense from the others desperately clinging to the throne. Yet the fallout from the incident didn't stop there. As the wave of criticism over Harry and Meghan's trip had yet to settle, a bigger question began to echo through the power corridors of the royal family. Should King Charles III continue to show tolerance toward his wayward son? Or is it time he made a firm, perhaps even cold decision to protect the image and integrity of the monarchy? This incident was not just a stab at Camilla's heart, not just a quiet humiliation on her birthday, but a painful blow to Charles's patience. Because when all that the king had tried to build in recent times, a picture of reconciliation, of a forgiving monarch, was turned into a media manipulation tool by Harry and Meghan, the line between compassion and naivety began to blur. And now, a more agonizing question than ever is being asked within royal circles. Should they continue conversations in the faint hope of reconciliation? Or is it time to draw a clear, unbreachable boundary to put an end to being used and publicly discredited? Because clearly, the softer the royal family becomes, the more they turn into easy prey for fame-driven tactics from Hollywood. The more they yield, the more they are led by half-truths, on-camera tears, and veiled insinuations that sow doubt into every corner of the palace. A decision is waiting to be made. Not just the decision of Charles as a father, but the decision of a king. Will he choose to forgive one more time, or finally put an end to the fraying thread between the throne and his exiled son? Everything seems to have started with a visit to Angola to raise awareness about landmines, but somewhere behind the stage lights, behind the handshakes and the theatrics of media attention, a bigger question begins to take shape. Was this a sincere humanitarian gesture, or a carefully orchestrated PR move to reposition Harry in the public eye? From the moment Harry set foot in Angola, wearing a protective vest like a living replica of his mother, Princess Diana, public emotion was stirred. The side-by-side photos of mother and son, the hashtags praising Harry, the spiritual heir of Diana, all created a media frenzy unseen since he and Meghan stepped back from their senior royal roles. But beneath those touching images lies a brutal battle between three forces: royal legacy, family loyalty, and personal ambition. Diana's legacy is not something just anyone can slip into like a coat. It is pain, sacrifice, a life hunted to death by the media, and an irreplaceable symbol in the hearts of the public. Harry knows that. He doesn't simply want to follow in his mother's footsteps. He wants to grasp that flag, raise it high as a declaration that even cast out of the palace, he still carries something noble within him. Something beyond all titles: Diana's unyielding spirit and humanitarian heart. But this is exactly where the complexity begins to emerge. While Harry tries to evoke compassion, the rest of the world raises a question: is this truly an act for the community, or merely a staged performance to restore his personal image? And why, among hundreds of global concerns, did Harry choose the exact topic tied to the last symbol? He can still cling to his mother. The story grows more tangled as the media's role is laid bare. Instead of focusing on the central issue, the danger of unexploded landmines left behind after war, global media became consumed by a debate over whether Harry's trip was an act of populism. Sensational headlines, reports dissecting every bow, every bead of sweat on Harry's forehead, made people forget that behind this image war were thousands of lives threatened by anonymous explosives buried underground. The media, instead of acting as a bridge to the truth, unintentionally became a tool to amplify controversy, overshadowing the humanitarian issue with a personal drama. And when the camera lights go out, Harry is pushed toward the biggest crossroads of his life: to continue carrying his mother's legacy with sincerity, or to keep spiraling into the media storms that he and Meghan have actively created. That choice doesn't just affect him, it affects how the public defines authenticity. in an era where every emotion can be distorted through a lens or a social media filter. Harry is playing a high-stakes game. If this is a comeback, he might win back the trust of millions of Britons who once admired him not because he was a prince, but because he was the son of a woman who dared to defy royal norms to touch the heart of the world. But if this is just another empty media punch, then perhaps Harry has shut the final door leading back to royal honor himself. Still, it cannot be denied that Harry's actions have reignited one of the world's most lingering humanitarian wounds, the issue of landmines in war-torn countries. Despite criticism, despite doubt, he once again made the world look back at the nameless suffering, the bodies buried under sand, and the children who will never grow up because of one misstep. And so, even if the starting point was a personal calculation, the outcome could still be a necessary awakening. That is the undeniable power of truth. It exists beyond all schemes. The final question, and perhaps the most painful, still hangs in the air over Britain. Do Harry and Meghan still have any chance of regaining public trust? Or have they drifted too far from the circle of light Diana once left behind? Have the palace gates now closed permanently? Not just with steel, but with the disappointment of millions who once loved them. The trip to Angola will not only be remembered for a step onto a mine-laden land, it will be remembered as a turning point that reshaped Harry's future. No longer the boy standing beside his mother's coffin, today's Harry is a man facing a life-or-death decision to become a true humanitarian symbol like his mother, or to be forever trapped in the shadow of media campaigns he orchestrated himself. And history will not be kind to those who lose their way, especially in the royal family, where every mistake is etched into stone, never to fade. And after all the fiery debate, after the skeptical eyes of the media and the public, this incident has exposed a truth hard to swallow. The relationship between Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, and the rest of the British royal family has never been simple. From unintentionally or deliberately overshadowing Camilla's major event to the unexpected reappearance in Angola, everything forms a chain of controversial actions, tangled between media strategy and humanitarian messaging. That's what has left the public confused. Are they master manipulators or voices trying to speak up for forgotten lands around the world? But if we look deeper into the incident, one thing becomes clear. The royal rift has reached its peak, and it's no longer just an internal family matter. It's shaking the global image of the monarchy. Harry and Meghan, with their unique approach, continue to challenge traditional boundaries. But what's the volume? It is the ever-widening rift between father and son, the cold distance that remains unfilled between London and Montecito. Even so, beneath the drama and scandal, a faint message of hope still glimmers. The demining campaign in Angola is not a stunt. It is a humanitarian journey that Princess Diana once dedicated her life to. And even if the family is divided, even if wounds remain, that humanitarian mission still needs to be sustained and carried on. Perhaps it is in these greater causes that the royal family can find a shared foundation for healing, a chance to set aside egos and resentment for what is right and necessary for the world. So what about you? What do you think? Did Harry and Meghan intentionally orchestrate things to overshadow Camilla? If you believe it was a calculated PR move, leave a 1 in the comments. If you believe they acted with good intentions, leave a 0. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel so you don't miss any developments in this royal drama storm. Because in the end, the monarchy has always been a story of tradition and controversy. But sometimes it is the overlooked issues like a field of leftover mines in Africa that are truly worth our attention.